When people look back, are they going to say, I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they held that ground. I'm glad they stood up for the rule of law, or for the Constitution, for the independence of the profession, that they stood up against adversity. And they did the things they needed to do at the time in circumstances that were hard. Are we being good ancestors? And I challenge each of you as bar leaders to think about that when you take steps to do things, that you're doing things that are important for the profession, for those around you, for access to justice, to make this country and our profession better and in meaningful ways.
Welcome to the next episode of Leading the Bar. I'm your host, Amanda Arriaga. I'm here with Patrick Pallas for the last time as NCBP president. We did an episode when you first became president and at the 6-month mark, and now we're at the end of your term. Today's a big day. We're both wearing pink. We just had an annual meeting with the reception where we might have been in luau outfits. We might have been dressed like we're in the musical Chicago. You'll only know if you were there with us. And today, we literally will have breaking news when this airs about the NCBP pledge. So are you ready to talk about it? Patrick, we talked about why you wanted to be a lawyer. In a past episode, we talked about why you wanted to lead the Washington bar, but why did you want to lead NCBP?
Can I just say this, man? I know you got these questions, and you're going to have to get through these questions, because this is what we do. It's a podcast, right? I don't know how we managed to get the same colors today that we did. I think it's just that meeting of the minds that we color coordinated, yes. Even though I'm in Washington and you're somehow in Texas, and we did this anyway. I think that goes to the power of our connection, co-hosting this podcast together. And I also want to say, because sometimes you get to the end of the podcast and you're like, oh God, I meant to say that. I've had such fun doing this podcast with you this season. Season 1 was amazing. This is just the beginning of season 2. I want to give you like some sort of high fives for being like the best interviewer, best podcast host ever. So thank you for your work for the NCBP, and thank you for your work trying to, tell everybody what's going on at the NCBP. You've been invaluable, and your committee is amazing, and all those around you supporting you, and Legal Thought Network and our sponsors. And okay, there it is. I think I got it out of the way. I can't forget to say that now because I've done it. You had a question about leadership.
Well, I mean, if we're sharing kudos, you have been like the permanent co-host, because we've done many of these episodes where you were part of them, and then part of the interview team. And then we had all those bonus episodes where we did an introduction telling you why we're bringing back episodes from 2024. So I'm the constant, but you're here a lot. So you're one of the permanent co-hosts. So you should thank yourself as well. The audience thanks you for being here, for helping us get some of these big name guests that we had, and for asking all the insightful questions that people want to know. As for the pink, I don't know, because we could call and coordinate. We didn't. This is really just like mind meld Wonder Twins.
Yes.
It's the summer, and why wouldn't we be wearing pink?
Seems reasonable. Everyone does podcasts in pink. So here we are. Yeah. Anyway, it's our thing.
Exactly.
I will tell you this, and there's of course a long answer and there's a short answer. For you, Amanda, today, the short answer. I was really intrigued with the NCBP when I was working my way up to be bar president of Washington State. And there was great leaders. Rue Goodenow, Lanny Lambert, Jonathan Cole, right now, which is the chair of the House. Great leaders are coming through. And I said, I would love to work with the NCBP. I'd love to work with bar presidents. What would it be like when everybody in the room is a bar president? Like, how much could we get done? The idea of leading with so many great leaders was exciting to me. And the minute that I was actually part of a committee and then got elected to the executive council, it just got better and better and better and better. So when my opportunity came to be secretary and then work my way up towards president, it was kind of fulfilling. It's too much to say a dream, but really a strong desire to work with a lot of people who want to do good things and put all that energy together to maybe make the world better, to help bar leaders, to help set policy and direction for an entire profession to grow more leaders and steward leadership. There were just a lot of really intriguing things. And you know what? None of it has been disappointing. All of it has even been better than I imagined. Leading the NCBP is one of the biggest privileges and honors of my life.
So, Patrick, what's the biggest challenge you faced this year as NCBP president, and did you overcome it?
Oh, I see. A meatball question. You know, it's funny because when I got elected, I really had a different idea about what it is I'd be doing, what the NCBP would be doing. I thought it might be around technology and AI, access to justice, things like that. But as the presidency began, it really was about something very fundamental, about the rule of law, about the Constitution, about the independence of the profession, about the integrity of the courts and the judicial system. And, you know, it's easy, I suppose, for any president to say, oh, well, I had this problem and here's what it was. But this is not a problem that's unique to the NCBP. This is for all lawyers. This is for an entire judicial system. And I think everyone in leadership and many who aren't lawyers across the country have stepped up to the particular challenges of this time, to step up to work to maintain the independence of the profession, to protect the integrity of the courts, to uphold their oath for the Constitution. That's been the biggest challenge. And it's not one that we just suddenly overcame. We're still in the middle of that process, and we're still standing up every day and defending our courts and the rule of law. So I think a lot of what we've done at the NCBP and that I've been fortunate to be part of is helping build that unity across bars and across this country so lawyers can speak with a unified voice on these fundamental and foundational pieces of our legal system. And, you know, me coming off this presidency is not going to be the end of that story. In fact, it'll have nothing to do with it. That story is going to continue for the leadership for the NCBP and leadership for bars across the country for years to come. But we are learning what to do, and we are taking steps, and we are making progress, and we are standing firm, and we are building coalitions, and we are finding unity, and we're standing for the rule of law. And this is very important as part of the ABA and bar leaders and lawyers and as citizens. So, you know, your question about what was your biggest challenge normally is one of those kind of fun things that you to talk about as a president, but this is really something that is shaking the foundation of our entire democracy, and we're proud to be part of to preserve.
Yeah, you know, I think anyone that knows you would have assumed that your focus this year would have been AI and technology.
Yes.
I don't know that we talked about this. We talked a little bit before about how your retreat was in Oregon, a beautiful remote location, and you had everyone bring a laptop to the retreat and work with a chatbot.
Yes.
So the irony that we were at an outsidey place and you wanted to do very insidey things, which I appreciate. But then it sort of took a turn. All presidents have this idea of what they think they'll do, and then reality hits you in the face and you have to work on the issue that's presented to you, which is what happened.
Can I just talk about that retreat for a sec? Because it was kind of a fun thing, and maybe there's some things that are good for other presidents. My fellow presidents, you all have to do these strategic plans, right? We all do these strategic plans. We did a 3-year strategic plan, and then each of our chairs had to put together their we call them rocks, the things they want to accomplish during the year. And that's what strategic planning is like. But instead of just sitting down or roundtabling or having a moderator do this, we created a chatbot for the sole purpose of creating a thought partnership on ideas for the NCBP and the things that each chair could accomplish, and then the things that hit our strategic plan to accomplish those things. And so it was a whole umbrella of ideas or broken down committee by committee with a chatbot built for this that created a Google Sheet and then populated it full of the ideas as thought leaders, both that we put in and it helped build, and we build out within hours an entire plan for the entire NCBP. And that was leveraging AI and creating a document that we have worked on for the entire year to complete now based on those couple hours. And I got to have a shout out to my friend Tom Martin, who's the CEO of LawDroid, who donated his time and his effort to the NCBP to create that chatbot for that purpose. Anyway, these are the kind of cool things that happen with technology that you think are going to dominate your year, but then maybe don't.
I mean, just for the audience, if you're not watching this, his face lights up when he talks about technology and the chatbots and the AI. This is his favorite thing, and it's hysterical. The other thing that I thought was very funny about the retreat is that we did an exercise that you called rocks. And so my question, being a business management major, obviously was, what's that acronym? And he said, no, that's a rock. And I thought, I've never had a strategic planning moment without an acronym. But you gave me one, so thank you for teaching me such new things.
For those that are fans of the book Traction, that's where that comes from. And if you're a manager or you like strategic plans or quarterly meetings, those kind of things, Traction's a great book. And that term rock comes from that book. Anyway.
Well, and if you just like rocks, I recommend the movie Project Hail Mary, where one of the main characters is named Rocky, and he's just a little rock. So it always comes full circle with us.
But we digress. But I have to say that is the greatest audio book available in this country today. That book on audio rocks. It's the number one out there, and I listened to it. And I don't think I want to read the book. I think that was the way to go. All right. Are we still talking about the NCBP?
Yeah. So we're going to come back to NCBP and ask, what has been your biggest accomplishment this year?
Oh, gosh. I'm going to say, first off, that I don't have a biggest accomplishment. The NCBP has some accomplishments that I think we're all on the executive council and through the NCBP are really proud of. And Amanda, you know what? This was one of them. We created this podcast out of thin air. There wasn't funding. There wasn't a way to do it. We didn't exactly know where to go about doing it, but we knew that there needed to be an opportunity to give bar leaders information that they needed from the mouths and experience and wisdom of other bar leaders, and to share that wisdom, to share that across the country, to not just bar leaders, but lawyer leaders of all types and to leaders of all types. And the beauty of this is, there may be only a couple of hundred bars across the country that we created this podcast for, but we have thousands and thousands and thousands downloads. This podcast about leadership is across the country and across sections of leaders, not just bar leaders. So I think this podcast has been a huge success, and we have so many people to thank for making that a success. The other, I'm going to say success, but the last chapter of the book isn't written yet, and that's the pledge. And I know we're going to talk about the pledge in a little more detail, but I'll just plant these seeds, if you will. The pledge is the 7 tenets, the 7 foundational core values of the legal profession. And we thought that it should be written, endorsed, supported as a unifying document for the profession. And we did that. And hundreds of bar leaders signed it. Dozens and dozens of bars, big and small, all across the country signed it. And we've turned it into an ABA resolution to be voted on by the House of Delegates. Today, the day this podcast gets released, the vote occurs. So, more to talk about that, Amanda. But can I just put a pin in it right there for that? Today, the House of Delegates votes on the pledge, Resolution 400.
Well, and we might as well get into it. One thing that maybe not everybody understands is, how common is it for NCBP to put forward something that becomes an ABA resolution?
To my knowledge, it's never happened before. And I think this is one of the reasons why. The NCBP has been evolving, and we just had our 75th anniversary last year. We celebrated this calendar year. And the NCBP has always had this mission, right? And our mission statement is to empower, connect, and inspire bar leaders. And we've done that. But never before have we taken a lead as a unified organization about helping the profession set a direction or identify the critical parts of the profession that should be the focus. We've been more educators and less policy. I'm not saying we've transitioned completely into a policy organization, but we felt very strongly that with the challenges legal profession is facing, that we should have a unifying document. And that as the NCBP, the unifier of all bar presidents across all states, mandatory, voluntary, affinity, right, bars, that we had an unusual opportunity to create a document that could go before the ABA as a resolution, and that is this pledge. So I think there's been a fundamental change in the direction, the way the NCBP is both perceived and what it is that we think we can do, and what our most important and valuable position is to better protect and help and grow a thriving bar and an independent profession. And that's what we have done at the NCBP. And that's why, for the first time, we have this resolution. Now, to be fair, the NCBP doesn't have delegates before the House, so we can't actually bring the resolution. But we have been those behind the resolution, and the Washington State Bar is the official sponsor. We're very proud to have their partnership in bringing this into fruition. But it's not just the resolution that is this kind of unifying. It's things like the podcast and a number of the programs that we're doing that help bring lawyers together. It's our focus on AI and technology to try to help lead the profession and show the way and give a blueprint for what's coming in the future, what we can do right now, and how we build successfully and using these and leveraging this technology. This has all been part of this mission of the NCBP this year, and it's a shifting position, and one that I think is very healthy for our profession and for the NCBP and for bar presidents.
And so, not to put you on the spot, but regardless of what happens today with the ABA resolution, do we have a number of how many bar associations or lawyers sign the pledge?
Yeah, lots, hundreds of bar presidents, bar leaders across the country signed it. We have a very, very long list. No, I haven't counted them. And dozens of bars, mandatory, voluntary, affinity bars, quite a number of national bars have signed up. It's got broad-based support across this country for these foundational things. And honestly, why wouldn't it? Why wouldn't every lawyer agree that the oath that we take, we should stand by? Why shouldn't every bar president believe that the fundamental pieces of the preamble to our rules of professional conduct are important, are the foundations? Things like upholding the Constitution, protecting the rule of law, protecting the independence of the profession, protecting the independence of the judiciary, right? These are really important parts of this pledge, promoting public trust and confidence, ensuring access to justice to all, right? So this is really a unifying piece. And there's every reason that all these people, all these leaders, all these bars have signed this, because this in many ways is the building blocks for our profession. And we should all stand up and stand behind them and be clear. This is where we can all agree. These are our core values.
Well, the great thing about the pledge is that even bars and lawyers beyond our members know about it, signed it, supported it. So we have a whole crew rallying behind that. So I think that is something different that NCBP maybe hasn't been known for. One thing that we talk about on this podcast all the time is that NCBP is commonly thought of as a well-kept secret.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe it's not anymore. And maybe that's something that you helped to change.
Well, we use that kind of a joke, right? We talked about the NCBP, it's a well-kept secret, it's our secret. But I think all that really was a bit of just a tease. But things have really changed and changed quickly at the NCBP. And, I can just we have to keep a dashboard of relevant data, metrics, KPIs, whatever you want to call them, of how we're identifying the health and of the NCBP. And there's a couple of things that have really changed dramatically. One is, if your organization isn't being paid attention to, if you're not visible, if you're not successful, then sponsors don't want to sponsor, or they don't want to sponsor much. We have had more sponsors this year than we've ever had in the NCBP before, ever. And more sponsors giving more money and stepping up to really engage and partner with the NCBP. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a big shout out to our lead sponsor, Clio, and to LexisNexis, who's been a partner with us for some 15 years, and to Filevine. These are companies that are investing heavily into the NCBP and bar leadership and into who we are, what we do, and why we do it. And we're so thankful for them. We have others that are smaller, but it's also important. CLE Abroad, LSAC, Member Central, LawQI. I mean, there's a number. I have a list of those companies. And to add to that, we had a party in San Antonio, and we asked the Texas bars, hey, do you want to sponsor? And every last bar in Texas of any size joined in, right? Sponsorship has gone through the roof. Another way to look at it, I think, is how's your membership? Our membership's growing. How about who wants to be president or on the executive council? Those went from races, I started this 10 years ago, that were competitive but not impossible. And now it is common for people to apply over and over again because it's so competitive. The laundry list of who's across the country wanting to be on the executive council. I mean, it makes me feel very good because we're attracting the best and the brightest to come lead the NCBP. And those running for secretary, which turns out to be president, also a long list. Our committee's getting spending, a day or days doing interviews for this. These are some pretty good indicators that we're having, real success. Our diversity scholar program, we're not struggling to find scholars. We have people, a whole list that we have to choose from, make tough choices to bring in this whole new class of diversity scholars every single year. So these are just some of the indicators, and there's more out there, but I'm very proud of these changes because NCBP is on fire. We are growing, and I think for good reasons. It's because, and I hope it's because, Amanda, and I'm going to use you as my backboard here to tell me whether this is right, but I think it's because we're more visible. I think it's because we've shown a vision of what we think is important and what bar leaders can do, and that has helped attract people to the NCBP and continue to make it grow. What do you think about that idea?
I think it's because we're visible and we're approachable. There are some times when you get a group of leaders together and they have competing ideas and they talk over each other and they don't work well together. And somehow at NCBP, whether it's the council or any of our committees, we don't have that. Everyone who wants to lead here is a working board member, a working committee member. This is not one of those places where you just join for prestige and then you get to do nothing and have it on your resume. So I think that combination has been changing what people know of us and how much they want to participate with us.
Yeah, agreed. Well said. Well said.
So this episode is bittersweet because things are happening right now. You're in Chicago counting votes, whipping votes. But it also means that you are now, technically, a lame duck as our past president of NCBP. So what is next for you?
That's interesting, right? Can I just philosophize about that for a minute? Because it's not so much about me as, an outlook. When I was a young lawyer, I set goals of things that I wanted to do. And I set goals that I thought were pretty crazy and pretty impossible. And one of those goals was to be the president of the Washington State Bar. Like, that was a big goal for me, and it took a lot of years to be there. But you know what? That was 12 years ago, and there's been a lot of life since then. And it's been a lesson to me never to aim too low in your life. Always set goals way above, way above where you think you can go, because you can do it. there are greater things out there. I wouldn't have thought it was a crazy thing to be a president of the bar, much less president of all the bar presidents, right? So setting goals higher and higher, I think, so we can achieve and live a life that's meaningful and help others around us and be steward leaders. But there's another piece to this too, and I know that you can relate to this. It's part of our journey. When people that are important to us pass, and I lost my sister recently, I've really come to believe that, we take them on like a backpack with us and do the things that they couldn't do, and take them on with our lives and do the things they would want to do, and to do the things they'd want to see us to do. And I feel like whenever I'm sitting, like, this is kind of maybe a way to explain it. When I'm sitting in a chair doing something important, I feel the people sitting around me, behind me, the people that I respect, the people I love, the people who aren't necessarily here anymore, and get that strength and that ability to go do greater things than I ever thought I could do or scared to do. And this is part of, I think, being a leader, bringing those with you that couldn't be there. Looking far beyond what you think you can ever do, believing in yourself, and really importantly here, believing in those around you. I so much believe in this idea of steward leadership, that we have to leave things better than we found it, that it's important for us to build up the infrastructure of leaders and give them opportunities, and help others come along with us and others so they can strive and be the next generation leaders. And NCBP has an amazing group of leaders. I'm so happy to have had a chance to work with them. And I ended up learning, from them. I'm supposed to be like they're stewarding them along. And so many times I got motivation and energy and ideas from them to build in this collaborative way. So, what's next for me? We'll see where leadership takes me. I'm not done leading. I have lots of ideas and things to do. But also I have this backpack full of really amazing people that are encouraging me to do things. I went hiking through the Alps for 14 days, something I never thought I could do. I climbed 34,000 feet up and down, and well over 100 miles. I didn't know I was capable of doing that. I'm not that guy. And suddenly I was that guy, and I felt the energy of the people and the encouragement. And once you do things like that, I think it feels like anything is possible. We now have this resolution before the ABA House of Delegates. Myself and a number of others today, actually, get to present this resolution to the nation's delegates with the hope that it should pass, and it should pass, right? These are really exciting next steps and things that are going on. But can I leave you with one more thought along this before? Have I philosophized too much for you?
Well, I would like to interrupt you and say it's hilarious that you take your own leadership journey literally, because you have ideas to go up, 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 and then you climb up, up, up mountains. And I don't know why you think you're not that guy that climbs mountains, because if you look at your Facebook page, you clearly are. So I'm not sure what's in your prior story where you don't see yourself like that, but everybody else thinks you're this hiking mountain man. So just FYI, in case you were curious about that.
Yeah. Well, there was that picture on the front of the ABA Journal that maybe would support your premise, even though I wasn't doing that much hiking back then. But that's funny you say that. Let me just finish kind of with this idea. There's one of the goals that I certainly have, and I know that the officers and exec council share this with me, is that when we're done with our term, we leave the NCBP in better shape than we found it. And as president, you only get a year. As bar leader, you only get a year to really try to do those things and to make sure that you have, done your job and moved ahead. And this reminds me of a quote that I really love, because I think it's important to you as leaders who are the next generation, you who are leading right now, you who are coming in as president-elect, you who are on a trustee or on a board and aspire to be a leader. This is for you, because there's a quote from somebody who I admire, Jonas Salk, who was a researcher and virologist who actually developed the first successful polio vaccine. And he's credited with saying these words: "Are we being good ancestors?" And I love that, because I ask that question when I've taken steps, or when we've discussed things among executive council, or as a bar president. Are we being good ancestors? Are we doing the things for the future of the bar? When people look back, are they going to say, "I'm glad they did that. I'm glad they held that ground. I'm glad they stood up for the rule of law, or for the Constitution, for the independence of the profession, that they stood up against adversity, and they did the things they needed to do at the time and circumstances that were hard"? Are we being good ancestors? And I challenge each of you as bar leaders to think about that when you take steps to do things, that you're doing things that are important for the profession, for those around you, for access to justice, to make this country and our profession better and in meaningful ways. And I think I've done my best to try to lead with those ideas, and I've had a group of people that I think have been in lockstep and been amazing to work with, including you, Amanda, and our executive council, and our really amazing incoming president, Juan Thomas. I can't wait to see him lead. He is such a great speaker, a good man, and a great leader. And I think this transition for me, is going to be seamless. And he's going to have a year that I think we're all going to be amazed. And I look forward to supporting him and supporting NBC, NCBP, and doing the next steps of this journey in leadership.
Well, one thing that you'll get to model as immediate past president, which I guess I get to model a little bit also because I will officially, when this podcast airs, be off of our council, is other people get to be in charge, but we still get to support and provide the service that the organization needs. So you'll be doing that as immediate past president. I'll be doing that, still hosting the podcast, which maybe you'll pop in from time to time.
I love that invite.
But that helps to model. I mean, anytime. You're welcome to join us anytime. But it's good to model that it's when you're done, you can still give back and not have to be the person with the loudest voice in the room. And not everybody knows how to do that. So you'll also get to see that here, and you'll get those lessons here with some of these episodes and with what's going on at NCBP.
You know, Jennifer Perrin in the meeting the other day said, Patrick, the hardest thing, she was a past president of NCBP and now is the chair of CBL. And she said, Patrick, the hardest thing about being past president is sitting on your hands and not talking all the time and not being the leader. And I said, I'm not going to have a problem because I'm not going to be sitting in my hands. My hands are going to be waving in the air, cheering on Juan Thomas and the NCBP. My hands are going to be waving and cheering for everybody. I'm not going to sit on them. So I'm with you. Let's go. We have another chapter to unfold for success for the NCBP, and I know you're going to be right there with me, working and cheering on the next year.
Absolutely. We've got to do season 2 of this podcast. This is our 3rd episode of season 2. We've still got so many more stories to tell, people to talk to, interviews to do, lessons to share. So we've got a lot of work ahead.
Amanda, thank you for this chance to talk today, and thank you for all your good stewardship of introducing so many great leaders to this audience and creating 22 shows and having over 9,000 downloads just in this first season plus, 2 shows. I can't wait to see where this goes, and congratulations on all your success.
Well, thank you for being a president who had a vision, changed the vision, updated the vision, expanded it so that more than just our members could participate in your vision. I think that is something that is changing NCBP and will be for years to come. On behalf of the National Conference for Bar Presidents, thank you for tuning into this episode of Leading the Bar. For more information about membership or getting involved, visit ncbp.org. To catch up on episodes you may have missed, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts or watch us on YouTube at Bar Presidents.